I had to literally sit there live and change the tempo and try to get them to match. Part of the nature of the score is me trying to get control of the machines. While the machines are trying to get control of the people in the movie, I'm sitting here desperately trying to get control of these machines.
This way.
When they finally get together in the police station, and he's now someone who had been like stalking her, they're now, you know, he's taking her and they're partners in a sense. And I thought, great, and they're escaping. Da-da-dum, dum, 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 you know, they're running out of the police station. And Jim heard that and he said, no way. He said, that's going to open up a part of the brain of the audience that's sort of emotional and maybe a little intellectual, like, the theme, they're together, you know, it taps a little part of their, he said, I don't want to distract their synapses. I just want them like this, you know, I just want them to go, they're going to go, you know, so the music is the same, we just took the theme out, but underneath there was the running of it, you know, and the theme I just thought gave it this heroic moment, and he just said, no, and I think that in that awareness, he knew exactly why he didn't want the theme there. I hadn't worked with a director that had that level, that was dealing quite on that level.
I don't think the studio knew what they had. I know that they didn't know what they had.
If they did, they would have thrown a lot more money at it, and they probably wouldn't have let Jim direct it.
Initially, the studio perceived it as a down and dirty action exploitation film. They thought that, I think, because it fit into an easily marketable mold for them. They could see the film coming out, doing well for the first weekend, and essentially dropping off after that, after, let's say, the negative word of mouth.
It was always talked about, well, we have to appeal to the young audience and the male audience only. That's what the movie it is. It's a limited audience that can see a movie like this, and we are happy if we make a certain amount of money, and then, you know, we are happy.
When we began to believe we had something, was the very first screening, and our very first advocate was once again Lindsley Parsons from Film Finances, who came to us and said, this is a really good movie. You guys have put something on screen here that is not only a good action movie, but it's an important action movie. There's no way when you're making your first film that you have any objectivity at all about what you've captured.
You never really know how a movie's going to do until it gets in front of an audience. You never know how it's going to do.
And then we showed the film to the actors' agents. And both Ed L'Amato, who represented Michael Biehn.
And he was a person who saw that movie and said, we have to get this screened in town and get a buzz going on it.
He saw the movie and he got it, as did Lou Pitt, who represented Arnold Schwarzenegger. They got it, and they are the ones who insisted that Orion screen the film for critics. And we started getting the response that Jim and I realized that we had touched a nerve, that the film was not being perceived as just a down and dirty exploitation film, but a film that actually had something to say that connected not only with audiences, but with critics as well.
When the movie came out, I remember the first thing that happened was that they said, oh my God, we have as many women seeing the movie as men.
Right.
So we should change our ad campaign. And I said, I told you guys,
exactly.
This is what's going to happen.
But then, of course, they'd already spent all their ad money, and they didn't spend any more ad money. So
exactly,
the ship had sailed.
Exactly, they were like frantically running around and coming up with ways of letting the women know that it is a movie that they can also enjoy.
It was impossible to anticipate that the film would get the kind of almost universal positive reviews that we got, and that the film would open up and maintain the same box office week in and week out for a number of weeks.
It's just that sometimes things click with the audience and you produce something or you create a character that really hits home. You know, that it really is bigger than you thought it's going to be.
I'll be back.
I think more importantly it was a cultural phenomenon. People responded to it somehow psychologically. The Terminator represented something to people, a kind of a dark side of the human psyche, people wanting to have that fantasy of being totally stripped of all moral constraints and being able to do exactly what they wanted to do whenever they wanted to do it. You don't have to open the door, you can go through the door. It's a dark fantasy, but it's one that people can have can have fun with in a movie theater.
Anybody who thinks that Terminator is a cynical movie didn't get it. Far from it. It's a film that says the least among us is probably the most important person in the world.
It said that no matter how inconsequential you may seem to others or even to yourself, your individual existence may have great value in the future.
It wasn't just shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, but there was a story, a love story that was a lot larger than life, and I think it drew a lot of people to us that ordinarily wouldn't have liked the picture.
Part of it was timing, part of it was that we really did deliver a good film, and a film that at the time became part of the whole zeitgeist of America in 1984.
Which I think is one of the most remarkable things about the first film. People accept this possibility that there can be a blend between a human component and a machine component. And I think it's just an aspect of our lives right now, that we're so surrounded by machines all the time, and medicine has shown us that the human body is just a very complex machine. The fact that we can accept that, to me, is the most amazing thing of all.
That's what he does! That's all he does! You can't stop him!
I mean, he wants to do basically everything because he has such a clear vision of what he wants to see.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with.
He was very, very precise in what he wanted and meticulous, and he wanted it his way. He wanted to get what he wanted. He wanted his vision up there.
And he really does know what he wants. He's not just throwing a baby director fit. It's because he knows how it should be. And I would say about 98% of the time, he's completely right.
Jim really knew what he was doing.
It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear.
He's a taskmaster, very, very, very difficult man to work for.
It's a good challenge, and he brings your game up.
And it absolutely will not stop, ever.
He will be the first guy on the set, the last one to leave. He will be standing when everybody else is passed out.
You see him ending up running with the smoke machine and creating smoke in front of the camera, and then putting on blood and trying to do your makeup, although the makeup and special effects department has already done the job, but he then has to improve on it somehow.
Jim's like explaining the blue screen camera to the guys and what they should be doing. I mean, these guys are in special effects all their lives, and Jim's saying, oh, no, you can't. Oh, you having trouble? Oh, this is how you fix that.
He understood. I mean, you could talk about things, how to do them, what you wanted to do.
Jim understands that the technology is there to serve him.
He did that with everybody. Camera, sound. I mean, he knows everybody's job better than they do. And he's better at it than they are. And I think sometimes he gets frustrated because of that.
He's a control freak, basically.
It's just his style.
I've always said that he can't act, as far as I know. So he's always going to need us.
And the great thing about Jim is that he is not only great at screenwriting, but he's an artist as well.
It was the art of storytelling, and that's the brilliance of Jim Cameron. That's the brilliance of Terminator 1. I've done a lot of things over the years that are better technically than Terminator. Not a lot of stories that were better than Terminator.
If you want to know everything you need to know about Jim Cameron's films, go look at Terminator 1, because it's all there. All the essentials are there, and everything that he has continued to grow into and to expand, all the roots of it are right there.
Was the vision of Jim Cameron that everybody really sunk their teeth into in the way of wanting to make something good out of it. Plus we were having fun and there were challenges.
I'm just so happy to have been part of it.
Creative process, as I understand it, is that thousands of people all contribute their ideas and their emotions and their blood and their sweat and tears, and then Arnold and I take credit for it all.